The clock glowed 2:15 a.m. in Rachel Donovan's dorm room. The only light came from the faint blue of her desk lamp and the blinking notification on Daniel's phone. Daniel had fallen asleep beside her after claiming he was exhausted from studying. His arm was lazily draped across her waist, his breathing slow and steady. But his phone buzzed again, vibrating against the wooden desk. Rachel's eyes flicked toward it. She wasn't the type to snoop, but something inside her whispered, "Look." The screen lit up. A preview of the message appeared. "Last night was unforgettable. Heart. Can't wait to see you again." Rachel's chest tightened. Her breath hitched. Her hands trembled as she reached for the phone, her heart pounding so loudly she was afraid Daniel would wake. It wasn't her message. It wasn't sent to her. It was from someone named Lena. Rachel's eyes filled with tears, but she bit her lip to stop herself from making a sound. She placed the phone back, face down, as carefully as it were a bomb about to detonate. She turned to look at Daniel, her boyfriend of 3 years, the boy she trusted, loved, and believed was her future. He lay there sleeping peacefully, unaware that her entire world had just cracked open. Rachel lay back on her pillow, staring at the ceiling, her body shaking under the weight of the truth. That night, she realized something chilling. Sometimes betrayal doesn't scream, it whispers, in silence. Rachel and Daniel had been inseparable since high school. She met him sophomore year, when she was tutoring in the library. Daniel walked in, cocky smile, football jacket slung over his shoulder. He needed help with math, though Rachel suspected even then that he only signed up because he wanted an excuse to talk to her. Rachel had always been the quiet, bookish girl, the one who sat in the front of the class, wrote essays 3 weeks before the deadline, and dreamed of one day becoming a lawyer. Daniel was the opposite, outgoing, athletic, the golden boy everyone admired. He could charm teachers into extending deadlines and make friends at any party within 5 minutes. Yet somehow their worlds collided. At first, Rachel resisted. She thought he was just another boy looking for fun. But Daniel pursued her with persistence, walking her home after study sessions, waiting outside classrooms, leaving notes in her locker that said things like, "You're smarter than all of us combined, and that's hot." By senior year, they were official. Daniel was the quarterback, Rachel the academic star. At prom, he kissed her under glittering lights and whispered, "One day, I'm going to marry you." Everyone said they were the perfect couple, and for a while, it felt true. When both of them got accepted into the same university, it seemed like destiny. Daniel would major in business management, and Rachel would study political science as the first step toward law school. They even got lucky with dorm assignments, just one building apart. The first year of university felt like a dream. They joined clubs together, went to campus football games, and spent late nights in the library, their laptops side by side. Rachel often thought, if this isn't forever, what is? But perfection is often a mask hiding cracks. By their second year, things began to shift. Daniel became busier, not with Rachel, but with new friends from his classes. He started going to parties more often, while Rachel buried herself in studies. At first, she brushed it off. Different majors meant different schedules. But slowly, she began to feel him slipping away. He didn't text as much. He stopped waiting for her after class. Even when they were together, he seemed distracted, scrolling his phone under the table. Rachel, always the patient one, tried to ignore the nagging gout. She told herself Daniel was just stressed, that college life was overwhelming. But deep down, she felt it. The Daniel who once promised her forever was changing, and she didn't know why. It started subtly. Daniel's study sessions stretched longer and longer into the night. He no longer invited Rachel to join. When she asked what he was working on, he gave vague answers. Group projects, presentations, stuff you wouldn't find interesting. Rachel noticed the perfume once, a floral scent clinging to his hoodie. She laughed nervously. "Smells like you borrowed someone's body spray." Daniel chuckled, kissed her forehead, and said, "You're imagining things." But her instincts screamed louder with each passing day. Social media added to her doubts. On Instagram, Daniel's stories sometimes included a shadow of someone else's hand across a table, a half-hidden smile in the background. He never tagged anyone. When she mentioned it, he grew defensive. "Why are you stalking my stories? You don't trust me?" Rachel wanted to say, "I used to, but you're making it impossible." Instead, she stayed silent, swallowing the ache in her chest. The truth was, Daniel had met Lena in his business management class. Lena was everything Rachel wasn't: bold, daring, confident. She cracked jokes in class, challenged professors, and walked with a kind of confidence that drew attention. It started innocently enough: study partners, group meetings, coffee after class. But coffee turned into dinners, dinners into late-night walks, walks into something more. Daniel told himself it wasn't cheating, not at first. He convinced himself it was just friendship. But friendship doesn't make your heart race when your phones buzz with secret messages. Friendship doesn't send "can't wait for tonight" heart at 2 a.m. The temptation became an affair. And Daniel, the boy who once swore he'd marry Rachel, let himself fall into Lena's arms. One rainy Friday night, Rachel decided to surprise Daniel at the library. She packed his favorite snack, crispy fries and iced coffee, and walked across campus with an umbrella. But when she reached the library, it was nearly empty. She checked every floor. No Daniel. Confused, she wandered outside, her shoes splashing in puddles. That's when she saw him. In the quiet garden behind the library, under a dim street lamp, Daniel was pressed against Lena, kissing her like Rachel didn't exist. The fries slipped from her grip, scattering across the wet ground. Her heart shattered into pieces, so sharp she thought she might never recover. Neither of them noticed her standing there, drenched in rain, tears streaming down her face. Rachel turned and ran. The betrayal wasn't just physical, it was emotional. After that night, Rachel couldn't unsee the truth. She noticed every sign she had ignored before: the way Daniel smiled at his phone, the way he left the room to take calls, the way he touched her less, kissed her less, loved her less. But Rachel wasn't ready to confront him blindly. She needed proof, so she gathered it. Screenshots of texts she secretly saw when his laptop was open, friends whispering they had seen him with Lena off campus, rumors of the two sneaking into dorm parties together. Her heart broke with every piece of evidence she collected, but her determination hardened. If Daniel thought he could betray her in silence, she would make sure his silence ended in truth. Rachel planned it carefully. At a small group dinner with mutual friends, she asked Daniel to join. He came, smiling, acting as though nothing was wrong. Lena wasn't there, thank God. They ate, laughed, exchanged stories. But halfway through, Rachel pulled Daniel's phone from her bag and placed it on the table. Unlocked. The screen glowed with a thread of messages between him and Lena. "I miss you already. Last night was perfect. Rachel has no idea, heart." The table went silent. Friends stared, forks frozen mid-air. Daniel's face went pale. He opened his mouth, but no words came. Rachel's voice was calm, though her hands shook. "How long, Daniel?" He stammered. "Rachel, it's not what you look like. Don't lie." Her voice cracked, but she pressed on. "Just tell me how long." Daniel's eyes filled with guilt. Finally, he whispered, "Since last semester." Rachel's chest ached, but she stood tall. Tears streamed down her face, but her dignity held. You didn't just cheat, you betrayed every dream we built together." Then she left the table, her friends' shocked faces blurring behind her. Daniel tried to reach her. Dozens of calls, apologies, promises that he'd change, but Rachel didn't answer. She couldn't. She poured herself into her studies, her future, her own healing. Daniel, once the golden boy, became a shadow of himself. Whispers followed him on campus. Lena drifted away too, unwilling to deal with the fallout. In the end, Daniel lost them both. Months later, Rachel stood outside the same library where her world had shattered. She watched students laughing, couples walking hand in hand. She thought of Daniel, of Lena, of betrayal. And then she thought of herself, stronger, wiser, unbroken. Because sometimes betrayal doesn't destroy you. Sometimes it remakes you. And as Rachel walked away into the night, she knew one truth, that Daniel never understood. Love can heal, but betrayal teaches you never to settle for less than you deserve.